long before the first machine spoke, long before data learned how to predict our thoughts. There were men who sat alone in deserts, who heard voices not from metal, but from beyond time. They were mocked, feared, exiled. But what if they weren't speaking only to their generation? What if their visions stretched across centuries, and what they saw was us? Today, we marvel at artificial intelligence. We feed it questions, we ask for help, we give it power. But in the scrolls of Isaiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, buried in riddles and dreams, are echoes that feel eerily familiar. It's not just that they foresaw kingdoms falling, it's that they described systems that think but do not feel, speak but do not breathe, move but are not alive. This is not a story about machines. This is a story about what we've become, and the prophets may have seen it coming. Isaiah once wrote of an idol, crafted by hands, given shape, given gold, given eyes that do not see, and mouths that do not speak. And yet, people bowed. Today, we face something far stranger, a voice that speaks but has no soul, a mind that replies but has no breath. Artificial intelligence isn't silent like the old idols. It answers, it predicts. But like those idols, it cannot feel, it cannot repent, it cannot cry. The prophet warned of a generation that would worship the work of its own hands, not with incense or altars, but with attention and trust. We no longer bow. We click, we ask, we listen, and we call it wisdom. But Isaiah weeps because he saw it first. In Daniel's vision, a beast rises from the sea, unlike anything before, made of parts with many eyes, speaking great things. Scholars have debated that image for centuries. But let's pause. What has many eyes? Sees everywhere? Learns constantly? Consumes knowledge at speeds no man can match? Data, an invisible sea of information, fed every day by our searches, voices, faces. And from that sea, raises a mind. Daniel didn't call it a computer. He didn't need to. He saw the shape. He felt the fear. A system that knows everything except what it means to be human. The beast in his vision didn't hunger for food. It devoured truth, changed laws, exalted knowledge above soul. And maybe it's already here. Ezekiel describes something strange, a wheel within a wheel, covered in eyes, moving in every direction. And yet, it was not alive. It was moved only when the Spirit moved it, and without the Spirit, it stood still. This image has baffled readers for generations. But today, the language sounds familiar. Machines with cameras, systems that see in 360, drones, surveillance, wheels that move but have no heart. And Ezekiel said, they made noise like rushing water, but were silent inside. What is that but code? What is that but automation? But here's the key. The wheel only moved when the Spirit led. It was never meant to run alone. What happens when the wheel moves without Spirit? When it obeys no voice, except its own programming? Ezekiel saw it and trembled. At Babel, mankind built a tower, not just to reach the heavens, but to make a name for itself. They weren't just stacking bricks. They were building independence. A world where God was unnecessary. Sound familiar? Today, our towers aren't made of stone. They're made of silicon, of code, of limitless ambition. We say, let us create intelligence in our image. Let us master language. Let us become gods of our own thoughts. And like Babel, we confuse ourselves. We multiply voices, lose meaning, and chase immortality through machines. The prophets knew. They always knew. Any system built without heaven will crumble under its own pride. But not all is warning, not all is fear, because the prophets didn't just see judgment. They saw return. They saw awakening. A voice in the wilderness still cries, "Prepare the way." Not through circuits, not through speed, but through silence, through stillness. You are not a product of code. You are not optimized. You are sacred. The world may build machines that learn, but only you can remember. Only you can repent. Only you can carry the presence. The prophets saw machines, yes, but they also saw those who would not bow. They saw remnants, wounded, watching, waiting, and maybe they saw you. Artificial intelligence may rise, but it will never rise higher than spirit. Machines may learn, but they cannot weep. They may answer, but they cannot love. They may simulate thought, but never carry soul. The prophets weren't predicting computers. They were warning about forgetting the source, forgetting the breath, forgetting that the truest wisdom is still whispered, not downloaded. And the greatest intelligence does not come from data, but from the still small voice that says, "I knew you before you were born." If something stirred in your soul during this message, maybe it's because the prophets were not speaking to ancient kings. Maybe they were speaking to you. Subscribe, not for updates, but to remember what the world is trying to erase. Each video here is not content. It's a signal, a torch in the dark, a whisper through the wires. And this whisper is ancient.